All right, welcome. Go ahead and get comfy. Where are we? We're in February. This is the second week of February, I think. We've just come out of a new moon. We're kind of in a birthing phase as far as the moon is concerned. So if you want to take a second and just consider the things in your life that you are birthing or that you are calling in. And let's do the gold string method because I love this little manifestation method. So with your palms resting up or outwards, I want you to imagine that there is a gold string coming from the center of your hands as if you were Spider-Man. And that gold string is going to reach out and grab hold of whatever it is that you are calling into your life right now. Just imagine those strings reaching out and attaching themselves to the things that you desire in life. And it doesn't have to be a physical thing. It can be a concept or an emotion. Or just imagining that it's already coming to you. It's already connected to you and on its way. Start to steady your breath, matching the inhale with the exhale. And if you've been having some stress in your life, some anxiety, you can always inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. It's a brilliant way to let go of tension. And if you're cold, inhaling in through the nose and out through the nose will help to build heat in the body. Let's go ahead and move into a straddle. So if you have any tenderness in your knees, you can always roll up a towel and put it in the back of the knees or a pillow, whatever you've got, and that's gonna help support the knees. Oftentimes people will get a lot of pull right in the inner knee, and that will also be relieved by putting a little height under the knees. If you've got something that you can sit up against, if you're finding it's hard to get yourself upright, it's always nice to do this up against a wall or against a bed. Flex your feet, reach through your heels, press your thigh bones down into the floor, and then feel as if you're lifting your whole torso up and out of the pelvis. And if you have tight hamstrings, tight low back, and it's challenging just to be here, this is where you're going to stay. If it feels like you can go a little bit deeper or you want to go deeper, start to tip forwards. And think of tipping forwards with a long spine with flat back, as opposed to just rounding into this. So tip with a flat back first. I mean, you can't go any further with that nice long flat back. Then you can go ahead and round down, drop the head. Support yourself either with your hands or your elbows. If the floor is a little too far away, you can always bring the floor up to you with a block, or a pillow, a bolster. And then go ahead and relax your feet. Take a couple long sighing exhales to really surrender down into the pose. Let your jaw soften, your tongue relax. Soften the forehead. Starting off nice and passively today. Walk your hands over to the right. And twist your torso so that your chest is lining up with your knee. So you can use your hands to twist yourself around here. And then come up a little bit and get as long as you can through your spine, and then melt down. Think about sinking deeper into your left hip and really lengthen through the whole left waistline and rib cage. Then we're going to start to use the breath to move deeper into the pose here. So thinking of your torso as a wave. As you inhale, you're going to let that inhale lengthen through the spine. And it's like your whole torso is going to stretch towards that right leg. And then as you exhale, everything rounds down and surrenders. And you can make this as big or as small of a movement as you like. The point is just to sync your body and your breath together. Also, a tricky way to remind you to breathe slowly and deeply. And use your hands to roll yourself up. Little ways, walk yourself across to the left. Line up your chest with your knee. Lengthen your spine. Tip over that left leg. And then soften down. And start off just resting. Couple long exhales to soften deeper. Could you do me a favor? Could you bring me my watch from the couch? I left it on the side. Thank you. And then start to bring your breath into this again. So as you inhale, lengthen through the spine. And as you exhale, you melt down deeper. Using your arms to bring yourself back up. Coming center and just sitting up tall for a moment. And out of this, you want to use your hands, slide it in under the knee, and assist one leg in, and then assist the other leg in. And then give the knees a little bit of love. I'm going to come to standing, top of the mat. Just standing with your feet hip width apart for a moment here. You most likely feel this in your low back already. That little bit of stretch that we just did. So allowing the body to kind of center itself over your arches. Feeling the shoulders heavy away from the ears. Feeling the pelvis rest in those thigh bones. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, folding forwards. Inhale, lengthen your spine right up to the back of the head. And as you exhale, you're going to step the left leg back. Drop the knee down. Release the foot. And then sink the hips forwards. So you want to feel as if your tailbone is tucking between the legs and pressing towards your right heel. And I like to wiggle my hips here and just look for places that are a little extra tight that I can lean into. You're going to back your hips up onto that left knee and rotate externally through the left leg so that the foot comes kind of like 90 degrees to the mat. And then you're going to sink yourself back forwards into the right heel. Try to keep your chest relatively square to the top of the mat. Back the hips up a little bit, swing the foot back in line. You're going to tuck the toes, lift the knee up. Lift the pelvis up a little bit and squeeze your inner thighs towards each other. Keep that energy of the thighs squeezing towards each other and sink the hips back down. Lengthen out the back of the head. So you're not cranking your face forward. You're looking down at your toes and you're long from your left heel all the way up through the base of the skull and out the crown of the head. You're going to bring the left hand down onto the floor, turn your right toes 90 degrees out to the right, and pivot onto the outer left foot. Drop your left hip down. So we're stretching through that whole left side body into the left hip, down the IT band. And you want to think about pushing your left hip towards your right heel and rotating your right hip back behind you. Lift all that up, come back center. Step the left foot forwards. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bow down. One more time, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, bow. This time the right foot steps back. Drop the knee down, release the foot. Sink the hips forwards and think about tucking that tail between the legs, driving the tailbone towards the left heel. Notice if you're slightly externally rotating that right thigh. It's oftentimes a thing we do when we've got tight hips. Think about a really subtle internal spiral of all of the tissue of the leg. And just thinking about that should actually get a deeper stretch going. And then back the hips up. Turn that right thigh outwards, the foot in 90 degrees. And then sink the hips back forwards towards that left heel. Make sure that you're keeping the chest square and the left arch lifted. Pull the hips back. Rearrange that right leg, flex the foot, lift the knee up. Pull the hips up, squeeze the inner thighs towards each other. Keep those inner thighs squeezing towards each other and then sink the hips back down. Lengthen all the way from your heel right out through the back side of the head. So it really should feel like you're lifting your pelvic floor here. If you're not quite sure what that feels like, imagine sucking your uterus into the back side of your pelvis. The best way I can describe that sensation. If you don't have a uterus, just imagine that you did. You're gonna bring your weight into your right hand. Turn the left toes out. Drop onto the outer right edge of the foot, or outer edge of the right foot. Sink the hips down, or rather the right side of the hip down. And I'm pushing my right hip towards my left heel and drawing my left hip back. Lift the hips up, swing it all back parallel, lengthen a little longer, and then step that right foot forward to meet the left. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bow. Again, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, bow. All right, so I'm gonna keep my left leg nice and long. Both of my heels are gonna stay on the floor. And I'm just gonna bend my right knee and sink down into that left hip. So this is essentially like the upset teenager pose. So right knee is bent, left leg is long. Notice if your weight starts to sink backwards, you want to shift it forward, keep it right on top of your arches. Nice, strong stretch through that left hip, hamstring, big T-band, even down into your calf. Straightening out the right leg, bending the left knee, and you will notice that one side is always more intense than the other. So the left side of the pelvis drops down here, we're sinking into the right hip. Notice if your weight falls backwards, get it forwards on top of the arches. Let the upper body be completely jello. Lengthening the left leg, heel toe yourself just slightly wider than your hips. Now, if you need to, when we come down into the squat here, feel free to turn your toes out a little bit. We're going to inhale, lengthen through the back of the head. Exhale, drop the booty down into a squat. Inhale, lengthen right out through the crown of the head, legs straighten. Then exhale, squatting down. So a couple more at your own breath pace. Really working with the breath today. This is actually one of the movements that I give to my mamas who are ready to pop babies out. So it's perfect for this idea of what are we birthing? What are we manifesting? What are you calling into our lives? And the next time you find yourself in a forward fold, as you exhale, keep the legs straight and just drop the head back down, ragdoll. Bring the arms around behind your back in a big half circle. Interlace the hands. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and lengthen towards the sky with your knuckles. Push your pinkies further in the direction of the pinkies. Release the arms, drop them down. Take that big circle again, up, and this time interlace in the awkward position. Squeeze the shoulder blades, reach through the knuckles, send the pinkies further in pinky direction. And release the arms down. Inhale, long spine. As you exhale, you're gonna step your left leg back, just 2/3 of the way back on your mat. Try to parallel your feet. Notice if your butt kind of swings way out to the right. You wanna hug that right butt cheek in towards the midline of your mat and your body. Push through your left heel and send the left hip forwards. Now your hands might be on the floor, your hands might be up on blocks. But you're really using the legs and the pelvic floor to twist those hips into squaredness. Then the right knee, step up into forward fold again. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bow down. And then step that right foot back just a little ways, so it's like 2/3 down your mat. Notice that butt cheek wants to open up to the left, hug it back. Use your right foot to push your right hip forwards. Suck your left hip back. So we're still squeezing those internal thighs towards each other. And again, any level that you're at as far as your torso goes is totally okay. It's more about using the legs to square up the hips and start to engage the pelvic floor. You're gonna bend the left knee, bring the hands down onto the floor, and then step the left leg back and find the right place for your feet. We're gonna come into down dog. I've just done some super hip, hamstring, calf opening, so your heels might be closer to the floor than they typically are. Just stretching into this down dog. Move around in it. Move yourself forward into Sphinx Pose. And slowly lower yourself all the way down onto the mat. We'll come into Sphinx Pose. Coming up on your forearms. Wiggle those hips. Slight internal rotation on the thighs. Collarbones are wide and the ribs are sliding forwards. You want to imagine that somebody's kind of got their fingers under that first rib and somebody's sitting on your hips and the person hanging on your ribs is pulling you slightly forward. So you're really kind of stretching the tissue of the belly. And all those internal organs getting a little more space. I like to give myself a little wiggle here. So through my rib cage, kind of rock side to side and lengthen the side body. That usually feels amazing. Especially in the low back. Shoulders are pulling down the back, and your head is just in a nice, comfy position. Feel the shoulder blades moving in towards each other and down the back as the heart continues to open up even more, and the ribs slide forwards. Bring your feet a little bit closer together and keep that internal rotation happening. Right hand is gonna reach over as if it's gonna grab your left forearm, and then you're gonna lean into your right side, bend the left leg, reach back with the left hand and grab the foot. I like to grab it from the inside because it opens up my shoulder. And you're starting to pull that foot towards you. Now, if you have access to it, you can walk your hand down the foot, pointing your fingers towards your knee, and then bend the elbow up towards the sky to get deeper into this pose. The reason I had you pull your feet closer together to start is because oftentimes we like to take the knee out here and we're like, look, Mom, I'm so flexible. But you're really not getting any stretch at all. So keep them nice and tight together. Keep that internal rotation and pull the heel towards the hip and push the floor away from you. So the tendency is also to drop the chest, which makes it easier. So push the floor away. Keep your left hip driving down into the mat, which is also going to make it harder. Releasing the foot. Hang on to it for a second, but come on the inside again. And use your thumb to just give yourself a little foot massage right through your arch. And then release the foot all the way. Back into Sphinx. Take a second to reset. Get those knees in close to each other, not touching, but close. Send those bottom ribs forwards. Maybe take a second and rock the upper body side to side, stretching through the low back. That feels good. If not, you can just stay stationary. Coming back to nice, stationary position. Left arm is gonna come over towards the right elbow. Lean to the left, bend the right leg, reach the right hand back, grab a hold on the inside, set the right hip down, send the right shoulder forwards, push the floor away from you, and then if you need a deeper stretch, you can walk the hand down the foot, fingers pointed towards the knee, bending the elbow, so the elbow points up towards the sky. Keep sending the right hip down as you pull the heel closer to the hip. You're gonna gently release that, but hang on to the foot, using your thumb in your arch, giving yourself a little foot massage. So why not? And then releasing, coming back into Sphinx. We'll stay here for a couple breaths. You're gonna roll over onto your right side, stay propped up on your right elbow. Left leg is gonna stay right where it is. Right leg, bottom leg, is going to reach out in front of you so that you've got yourself a 90-degree angle here. So again, bottom leg, right leg is forward in front of you. Top leg, left leg is straight down below you, all right? Now you're gonna take this left arm back down as if you're going into Sphinx Pose again. Twist yourself, so you're gonna use your arms to twist your chest towards the floor. And at the same time, think about folding this top left hip down into your right inner thigh. Now, if this feels super easy, you can lengthen yourself down onto your mat. If it still feels super easy, you can thread your left arm under you and start to work that shoulder down, which feels like it would break my spine. So I'm not gonna do it. I'm always amazed when people can get into this full pose because it's just one hell of a twisty, bendy mofo. If you come down to your chest, you'll come back up onto your forearms. And then come onto that right arm, drop the right leg back, come back into Sphinx Pose. You're gonna roll onto the left side. And again, top leg, right leg is gonna stay right where it is. Bottom leg, left leg is gonna come out in front of you, so you get a nice 90-degree angle going on. Then we're going to drop that right elbow back down. Square the chest towards the floor. Start working your right hip down as if it was somehow gonna touch the left inner thigh. Deeper options are dropping the chest down or threading the right arm through and dropping the right shoulder down. Flexing your feet, reaching through your heels. If you twisted yourself into a pretzel or brought your chest down, come back onto your forearms. And then we all roll onto the left side, bring that left leg back. Come back onto your belly for Sphinx. Wiggle the hips for a second. Wiggle the rib cage. Find a nice quiet space for a couple breaths. And bringing the hands up into the upper corners of your mat and slightly externally rotating them so that the crease of your thumb looks forward. Coming up for a moment into seal pose. Instinctively, we want to clench our glutes, soften those butt cheeks, pull the shoulders away from the ears, keep that rib cage being pulled forwards. And start to draw your belly button in towards your spine, walking the hands back, push the hips up and back into Child's Pose. Should feel lovely on your low back. Pushing into your knees, roll up onto all fours, stacking the hips and shoulders on top of the knees and wrists. Let's come into some nice, slow cat and cows. Do this at your own pace. Really, there's no rules here. except that I want you to take it in both directions as far as you can. So you really kind of get into like, okay, I think this is as far as I can go, and then push just a little further to get a little more rounding and a little more arching out of your body. You make your way back to a neutral spine. You want to do a C curve now. So you're going to hug your right shoulder and your right hip towards each other and look back as if you're looking back at your butt. And then come back center. And then hug the left hip and the left shoulder together. Look back. And come back center. So a couple times, again, at your own pace. The only real guidance I have for you here is to go as far as you think you can, and then just try to squeeze a little bit more out of it. Then make your way back center. And you're going to sit yourself back in a child's pose again. But this time I want you to bring your arms back behind you. But instead of the palms up situation, I want you to turn your palms down. So your hands might need to be a little wider than normal. Hands under the shoulders, roll yourself up. And let's give the front of the shins a little stretch. So just keep walking the hands back. This might be plenty, or you might work on drawing the knees up. Drop the knees down if they're up. Coming around out the seat. Cross-legged position. And you want to keep your pelvis really neutral here, and as if your rib cage was kind of separate from your body. Just imagine that whole rib cage from that bottom rib pulling forward, and then coming back, and then as if somebody's grabbed a hold of the bottom rib on the back, and they pull you back. And as you go back, resist that urge to shrug the shoulders. Just allow the ribs to move back. So I'm trying to keep my pelvis and the weight in my butt really neutral and stable as I move through these movements. And that kind neutral. Let's take a twist, so left hand onto the right knee, right hand around behind you. Using the arms to rotate yourself around. And center. Twisting in the opposite direction. And then release. And we'll head into Shavasana. So, anything that you need to make yourself more comfortable, blankets, pillows, socks, kittens. Once you get yourself down on the floor, wiggle everything, loosen it all up. Take a couple big sighing breaths. Once again, just imagine pulled strings in the center of your hands, reaching out into the world, grasping hold of whatever it is that you are calling into your life. An emotion, a feeling, an object, an idea. And surrendering to receiving it. We bring ourselves out of Shavasana today. Let's do some head massage. Just bringing your hands up into your scalp. You can kind of grab hold of your hair and squeeze, just to start. And then making little claws and little circle motions all over your scalp. Make sure you rock the head to one side and get the back of the head down into the neck, behind the ears, and then the other side as well. And then scratch. Give that a little face massage. Interlacing the hands, reaching them up towards the sky, press the palms away from you. Bending one knee and then the other, keep reaching those palms, tuck the tail, pull the knees in, wrap the hands around, give yourself a hug, rock side to side. Grab the backs of your knees and start to rock yourself the whole length of your spine. Rocking all the way up. Have a seat. Coming back to your breath. Taking a moment to be grateful for something in your life. Bring your hands one on top of the other over your heart center. Take a second to be grateful for yourself. I was with a friend last night, and she was just like, my body's amazing. Like, how amazing are bodies? They just like do shit, and we don't really tell them to, and they cart us around, and they take care of us. And we always want to fight against them, and we always want to judge them, but they're fucking perfect, just the way they are. We need to be dumping more love into them. So take a second and just dump some love into your body for all the fucking magic that it does every second of every day. How awesome are we? Pretty fucking awesome. Thank you guys so much for moving and flowing and being awesome with me. Namaste.